Good morning, my friends. Chris here, and it is a wonderful Sunday. I hope everybody's having a great day. And since it's a Sunday, we're going to have a little moment of prayer, guys. Let's bow our heads, scratch our nose because it itches. Dear Lord, thank you very much for everyone tuning into this video. I pray that you will give them blessings and favor and show them your light and love, dear Lord. I pray that you will bless us all in this coming week to give us strength to make it through it because you know we need it, dear Lord. And I pray for all this in your name. Amen. All right, guys. So today I'm talking about Circle of Iron from 1979. This was actually a story that Bruce Lee wrote before he passed away. And when it was written, the producers and the bigwigs in Hollywood, they didn't really understand what he was trying to accomplish with this film. They thought it was kind of zany and wacky. And, back then they were, I mean, pretty racist. So they didn't understand the film's exploration of Zen principles and the Zen lifestyle that Bruce Lee led, and how to see beyond things, to not react with emotion, to learn in a subdued, almost passive way, and that was really cool. I thought, and so about a few years after Bruce Lee passed away, they made this film. And at the beginning of the film, they, posthumously dedicate it to Bruce. And they talk about how it almost didn't get made and how long it sat in, film purgatory and all that. And it was interesting. It was a nice little tidbit before the film. But we follow a fighter named Cord. And he is on a search for this person named Zetan and his book of enlightenment. Okay, so he's going through all these different trials and tribulations, and at the beginning of the film, he's fighting a guy, and he winds up hitting the guy when he's down, and he gets disqualified from the tournament, and so he's not allowed to go seek Z10. Well, him being the rebel that he is, he's like, I'm gonna go find Z10 whether you tell me to or not. Y'all can kiss my rear end. So we follow Cord. And Cord goes, he's on this quest and he meets up with David Carradine's character, who is actually, David Carradine plays four roles in this film. He plays a blind flute player, he plays a king, he plays some kind of like monkey creature, and he plays a death, but death looks more like Black Panther than the Grim Reaper. Um, so he meets up with David Carradine's character, and they start, or they don't start, but David Carradine's character, starts spouting all these like Zen things, like you can, if you tie two birds together, even though they have four wings, they cannot fly, stuff like that. And Cord, being the rebellious fighter and whatever, he's like, none of that makes sense. I don't have, if you're going to teach me something for real. Give me explanations, give me answers to my questions. Because David Carradine's character says, if you're going to follow me, if you're going to go with me, you can't ask questions. You just have to observe. And you have to promise that. So they go back and forth with their whole, like, he's a rebel, the other guy's the master and teacher who's calm, he's like a Yoda. He's, in fact, David Carradine's character, the flute player guy, he's very much like Yoda, very much like Yoda. Doesn't, he's like, look beyond, feel it, that kind of thing. Now, here's my thing. I say here's my thing. Let me start with this. I've never really been a big fan of David Carradine. I think that his best film or best role was probably Bill in Kill Bill. Uh, and I've never really liked the fact that it's not that he stole this role from Bruce Lee, because Bruce Lee was already passed away, but it seems like a lot of things that Bruce Lee created, the producers and racist, I say racist because that's what they were back then. They didn't want an Asian guy to succeed in Hollywood and that kind of stuff. So they would take Bruce Lee's parts, like the show Kung Fu. That was a Bruce Lee idea, guys. He wrote that. Or maybe not wrote it, but he came up with the idea for it, and they gave it to David Carradine. Okay, David Carradine, he's a pasty white dude who looks kind of Asian. You know, they took that from Bruce Lee, and that's why I've never really cared for David Carradine, is because I feel like he was very much someone who took liberties with Bruce Lee's stuff. He never stood up for Bruce. He wasn't like, hey, this guy created it, let's let him do it. No, David Carradine jumped on the bandwagon and stole Bruce Lee's thunder. And that's why I've never particularly cared for him. Before David Carradine got into Hollywood, guys, he wasn't a martial artist. He didn't know anything about no kind of, Jeet Kune Do or anything like that. He was a freaking dancer. He was known as a dancer. You watch him in this movie, and he's doing all kinds of gyrations and throwing kicks that look like they ought to be in Street Fighter instead of in, Octagon. The dude looked like a buffoon, and it really kind of pissed me off after I started doing research and realized this guy had no martial arts background whatsoever when he was doing these films. Yeah, later on he took up Tai Chi and Kung Fu, but he had no martial arts background. He wasn't a fighter, and you could tell from his pasty white flesh that doesn't have any kind of muscle definition that he was very much not a martial artist, and that kind of pissed me off. But there's a lot of like I said, there's a lot of goofy gesticulation and facial expressions from David Carradine that really just irritated me in this film, because technically not a single person in this movie was a martial artist. The fight scenes were so terribly choreographed and looked like synchronized punching. That's what it looked. That's the only thing I could think to tell you. It looked like synchronized punching. You get a dude, he's like he throws a punch, and then he does his little, whoa, and that's all they do. There's no, it's not fluid. It doesn't flow good. It looks stupid. And you can tell that Carradine has no real martial arts background, because I'm watching it and I'm like, this dude just threw a kick from the opposite side of his body, where Bruce Lee does the side kick. He moves to the side and kicks outward. David Carradine brings his foot from like over here and does a kick. There's no power behind that. It just looks stupid, and it irritated me. But again, he really liked taking Bruce Lee's stuff, okay? Overall, this movie was fun. I mean, it had an interesting story. I like the concept of how it was trying to teach someone who's not necessarily receptive to those kind of teachings. It teaches them how to be calm, how to, Bruce Lee's principles: take what's useful, discard what's not. Be a vessel, be water, be water, and be poured into a vessel, and you take the shape of that vessel. When you're punching someone, you're not punching anyone. Your fist is punching them without any effort from you, kind of thing. And I dug that, and I loved how they kind of taught that in this film. And Cord, he has an interesting journey. He winds up, he finds Zetan, he finds this legendary place, he finds the Book of Enlightenment, and then surprise, when he opens it, I'm not going to tell you what he sees, but surprise, and he's like, yeah. So then he goes on his way. Like they offer him, they're like, hey, do you want to stay here in this utopian city, or do you want, or you can leave. You can, because Zetan is being held there. He looked in the book, and he stayed there, right? And he can't leave until someone lets him go. And Cord sees the book, reads the book, and he's like, yeah, I'm good. And he leaves, and Zetan's like, please release me. Zetan's played by Christopher Lee, by the way, which is awesome. But I don't know, guys. It was a fun movie. It was a goofy little kung fu movie that I enjoyed watching, even though I'm not a fan of Carradine. But it was good. I give it probably 3 stars out of 5, and it was streaming on Prime if you guys want to check it out. I didn't particularly find it anywhere else. I think it may be on Tubi, but I watched it on Prime because it was there was no commercials, no ads. So anyway, 3 out of 5 stars, guys. If you want to check it out, streaming on Prime. If you like what you saw in the video, like, subscribe, ring the bell, ding-a-ling. If you're on TikTok, find Cinema Dolce on YouTube, Cinema Dolce 56. Look us up and join us if you want to. If you want to join up on the Facebook group, go to the Cinema Dolce Facebook group and join up with us, guys, and participate in some conversations and whatnot. And as long as you keep watching them, my friends, I'm going to keep making them. Peace out. I love you, and God bless.